Hi and welcome to Photo IQ. I'm your instructor Gus Cantivero, and in this unit we're going to talk about portraiture and what makes it special. Let's get started. Portraiture has existed as a genre for centuries, or going back even further, millennia, as far back as art has ever existed. In the more modern area, where we're talking about more famous paintings, portraiture has existed in order to sort of commemorate someone or preserve the past. Usually, the paintings were done of people who were famous or of some kind of notoriety because they were wealthy and able to afford to pay a painter and be their patron and hire them for their services to paint them. So normally when you see these high quality works of art in museums, they were done on commission. Many of the paintings that you see, particularly of famous people or kings or queens or war heroes like Napoleon or people like that, those paintings were done because they were commissioned to do so. Today, it doesn't take quite so long to produce a portrait. We can snap a shutter and we can create our portrait. So they don't take weeks or months to produce, and so they are not quite as expensive to hire a professional to do them. Let's take a moment to look at the history of portraiture as an art form. In this image, this is a painting of Giovanni de Nicola Arnolfini and his wife by Jan van Eyck in 1434. Let's fast forward a couple of hundred years. Look at The Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer in 1665. Vermeer is one of my favorite portrait painters. And then let's fast forward another 200 years and look at Madame X by John Singer Sargent, another very famous, influential portrait. By the 1880s, photography as an art form had already been invented, and so John Singer Sargent was kind of one of the last of his breed of painters, where he painted a somewhat photorealistic painting, but still added a little bit of an artistic, personal flair to it. And we're starting to get into a new era of painting as an art form, where things become a little less photographic and a little bit more interpretive. As photography began to take over, you can see that the realism was already sort of being performed by photography, and so paintings no longer needed to have that kind of photorealism. Let's look at a few of the most well-known portrait photographers. This is the actress Jodie Foster, photographed by Annie Leibovitz. Annie Leibovitz is a very famous portrait photographer, most known for working with celebrities. This is a self-portrait of Richard Avedon. Richard Avedon has a very identifiable style where he shoots with a very large format film, and he always would print the edge of the frame of the film on the print. So that is called printing full frame, when you have the crop on the outside of the edge of the film, so you're actually showing your work all the way to the edge. This is another very famous figure you should be able to identify. That's of course Albert Einstein, photographed by Yusuf Karsh. I want to talk a little bit about the personal value of photography, and in fact portraits. Portraits don't just serve to preserve the past of celebrities or famous people. They can serve to preserve parts of our personal lives and help not only ourselves but our families and friends to remember those who are no longer with us. That is not something that we're thinking about when we take the photograph, but many years later, looking back on it, it's something that you can never really understate the value of. This is my dad, and he passed away in 2015. There are not a lot of photos that I have of him, but there are some pretty good ones, and this is my favorite. I shot this while I was in college, and this was shot with a medium format film camera that I no longer have. I look back on those days of working with film very fondly, and I created a lot of great images that I still have with me today, and this is one of them. All of us know someone in our life, and sometimes that is ourselves serving that role, that don't like to be photographed. But sometimes we have to just kind of push through that embarrassment and do it anyway, even if it makes people uncomfortable. If you were to fast forward 25 years in the future, it's just fun to look back on images and reminisce about the past. Other times, in sadder situations, we have to memorialize people. And having those photographs in our possession is something that can never be overvalued. Those photographs carry with them an enormous amount of memories and value to those that we love. Here's another image that I came across of a scanned negative. So it's a digital scan of a negative. And I found this as I was digging through some of my older images in order to back them up and make sure that they were preserved and protected. This is my wife Jillian and my stepson Griffin. A year before I graduated from college. We weren't married yet. We got married 2 years after I graduated. So I was a junior in college. Not only is this a nice photograph of Jillian with her son, but it's also sitting on the front step of the family home where she grew up. That home is no longer within the family. It's been sold. So think about the value of this image. Not only can they look back on this memory and see themselves much younger, but they can also reminisce about that house and where they grew up and where they lived. So this is a short lesson because I just want to impart upon you the importance of photography and the value of especially portraiture. If you are the person who has the camera with them at all times, then your job is basically as the journalist of your family. Your role is to document everything that happens around you. Sometimes people will hide their face and they'll shy away from the camera, but it's your job to develop your eye and your skill to be able to draw out authentic moments and capture those things in a way that doesn't make people uncomfortable. So don't go and shove the camera in people's faces, but be there and be observant and develop your skills in a way so that you can capture those moments candidly so that they don't make people uncomfortable. But many years from now, trust me, people will come to you asking if you have any photographs of a particular event or particular person or occasion in order to commemorate that. Maybe it could be someone's 70th birthday and they want photos from 20 years ago. They're going to come to you as the family's documentarian. So think of that as your major contribution to those around you. So your assignment from this very short unit is to contemplate the lesson here that we talked about and get out there and take photographs and make it your role, make it your job. Take on that responsibility to document the lives of the people around you. As artists, we are tasked with the responsibility to preserve and document the past. So as we get to the assignment for this very short lesson, this photograph is actually the last one that I took of my dad before he died. I took it only a few months before, so I have that as something to remember him for. He was in a lot of pain and he was not in a good place when I shot this photograph, but we were visiting a place from his youth and his childhood and he was really happy to be there and it was something we were able to share together. And I do have some photographs to document, commemorate, and remember that time together. So I know this may be a little bit of a down note, but I do want to impart how important and how valuable it is to be the documentarian of your family, your friends, and all of the things that you love. So your assignment for this very short unit is to get out there and take on that role as the documentarian of the people around you, your friends, your family, and the others that you love. I hope you enjoyed this unit and hope to see you in the next one. Until then, keep shooting.